session is a really fun one. It is called Advocacy in Hollywood, Changing the Narrative of Cleft Representation. We told you we were going to talk about representation, so here we are. Please join us in welcoming Allie Potter, Caitlin Messiano, Pamela Bellato, and Reese Hudson, moderated by Troy Reinhardt.
You guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, now I can hear myself.
Hey.
There we go. Glad I have a professional next to me.
Oh,
so,
that's you.
Well, welcome.
Well, you have a whole panel.
I have a whole. Good point. Good point. So once again, welcome everyone to this topic, and we're leaning back into advocacy, which is great, but in a different lens. So not so much for advocating for insurance and all that, which we know is really intense at times, but in media, which we see it a lot. And we were thinking about this. It brings me back to that vision of Wendy Williams and Joaquin Phoenix, which I think we all know, where she was pointing out his cleft and everything. And it was a great opportunity. It was a teaching moment, which I keep on hearing that word today. But really what I want to lean into is actually a positive thing that I did see in the media recently during the Golden Globe Awards. So we're going to play Sebastian Stan's acceptance speech from the Golden Globe. So if we can cue that up. Perfect.
Oh, man. Whoa. Our ignorance and discomfort around disability and disfigurement has to end now. We have to normalize it and continue to expose ourselves to it and our children, encourage acceptance. One way we can do that is by continuing to champion stories that are inclusive.
Perfect. Great. So, just shot it really quick. But for all those who remember it, it was a big moment. And I know Ivan and I were immediately texting each other because, honest, we watched the Golden Globe for the fashion, the celebrities, but this was actually a powerful moment that he spoke out, and it got a lot of attention, and it was a great opportunity to bring craniofacial differences out in the media. So I'm going to lead it off with that question. When you think of how cleft-affected individuals have been portrayed in media, what stands out, either positive or negative? And if we want to start with Allie and work our way down.
So I've been in the media for about 15 years, and I talk about just how there's no one that looks like me. And I remember I was working with an agent, and we were going through some details, critiques, and she pointed out that my lips were uneven, and she said, we need to retake that. And I was no one has ever pointed out that flaw of mine. And I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, your lips are uneven. It's so distracting. Nope, we can't use it. And so she was trying to obviously help me and give me constructive criticism. And she was like, oh my gosh, what did you do with your makeup? And I said, oh, well, those are my lips. And she said, well, what do you mean? And I said, I have a cleft lip. And she said, oh, well, that's something I should know about because that could be a deal breaker for some news directors. And I was like, well, I don't want to work with them if they're not willing to do that. But in that moment, it made me realize, oh my gosh, this could be a problem. And my career, I've never really thought about that. If anything, it was more of a personal thing for me. But then in that point, and then you start getting viewers talking about your face and what's wrong with your lips. And when you're talking, it doesn't really match up. And I think for that, Troy's even said, last year was my first time ever talking about my cleft. It's something I've always hidden because of the way we've always been portrayed in the media. So I've been able to kind of use that as a platform to say, people like me, like us, are on TV.
Great. And Caitlin?
So what immediately comes to mind first is one of the most classic villains of all time from our friends down the street, whose name just happens to be Scar. So it's just instilled in children and adults who experience that, being different makes you the villain. So I think that's kind of an easy thing to point to, but mostly it's what representation? I think there's just so little of it, honestly. And to really only see it in moments of, a villainous plot line or an evildoer is just not the impact that we need on young minds and even just, adult minds, because we're all interacting with each other every day. So to see Allie embracing herself and putting herself on TV every day is incredible. And, we need more of the positive representation.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Allie being on television and announcing to the viewers for the first time, we know that was huge because it was scary for you. But the inbox messages you receive from
really
the
cool.
community and little girls saying what you talked about earlier look just like you.
And I want to say it was really cool that using that platform to, different viewers that were moms of kids that were cleft-affected, that were able to say, oh my gosh, like this is so cool, and it kind of gave the parents hope too, that their kids can have a good future.
Great. And yeah, in the cartoon world, luckily we were able to see Jeremy Shipp with Firebuds, which all of us have watched, and making the episode Clefthood with Castor having a cleft and bringing that topic out. So he's definitely, as a writer, trying to change that narrative, which, once again, if it's through cartoons to start, maybe that's the way it has to be done, but however we can get out there. Pamela.
Yeah, for me, I grew up in East Canada and born in 1978, and there was not anything on TV for sure at that time. No internet, nothing. Nobody around me looked like me, and no one in my family looked like me. So to be in transparency and to be honest, I lied most of my life and said, like one of the teens said earlier, somebody asked if they were in an accident, and that happened to me when I was little, and I thought, oh, that's an easy way out for me not to talk about it. I'll just say I had an accident. Yeah. And it wasn't until my 20s when I started to talk about it a little, and then in my 30s I got a little bit more open, and my early 40s is when I really started coming out and advocating, and I'm really blessed that, like you said, Sebastian started talking about it. There's organizations, I don't know if a lot of people know, but Gina Davis, the actress, she started an organization called Gina Davis Institute, where they're really hard at promoting disability and advocacy for differences in film, and they're progressing, they're getting better. But yeah, for me, it's... I just wish that I had the confidence in my 20s like I did today. And had I saw more people on TV, I would have had that. But anyway, I think it's my superpower now.
Yes.
So
I love it.
It's your time. And you mentioned organizations, and another great one out there that Smile Train works with is Face Equality International, and they're a big advocate of going after Hollywood and trying to make those changes. So hopefully with Gina Davis and those organizations, we can see a shift. And you mentioned media, and it just made me think, because yes, when you were growing up, you didn't see people, but it's the power of social media is media. And you guys, once again, whenever I go online and I see everybody sharing, so that you guys are kind of taking control of that, which is amazing, and putting the narrative out there for the positive side of cleft, which is great. So if we have to lean into social media for that, we will. But Reese, you've had quite a life. He's an amazing ballet dancer. He's been all over the world. So, you've seen it all.
Yeah, I was raised in Houston, and I had the footsteps of Jim Nowakowski to follow. He was a professional ballet dancer with Houston Ballet, and then he actually became a big name on So You Think You Can Dance. Amazing. Look him up. Amazing. And so I managed to have him as a mentor. A few years ago, I was dancing in Columbus, Ohio for 2 seasons, and was able to dance alongside him on stage. And having that was really helpful. So I did have representation to look up to growing up. but I've also had some pretty savage moments with ballet directors over the years. 2016, I was debating whether I was gonna go to one ballet company or another for a full-time position. And one of the directors came out to scout me in Houston and talked to my mentor at home. And they had a meeting, and he said, oh, well, we don't want to take him if he has more surgeries to go through. So he was kicked out of the studio pretty quickly,
Good.
to say the least. And my mom got brought into a meeting with my mentor, and my mom came out crying. And I was a little confused at the time. And, you know, my mom came out and was like, oh, you're going here. And so ended up moving to Boston to work for Boston Ballet. And yeah, I didn't really get told about that interaction for a little bit after. But I will say it again, like I said on the Zoom about Ali. I think having a face on, you know, such as weather reporting that viewers see daily and are excited about seeing is incredibly important. And so, yeah. I'm gonna say it again, honestly. It's like people are like, oh my gosh, it's Ali. I want to go see her. You know, I'm like, how can I watch the Arizona weather station? Like, oh my gosh, yeah. So it's you know, it's being in the entertainment and arts. It's a dream that so many people have, and I feel very fortunate, and I'm sure you know other people on the panel do too. But just because it's a dream that we get to live daily doesn't mean it's always easy. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't change it, really.
Right. And you kind of mentioned Jim, who was on So You Think You Could Dance, and I remember when that aired, and you know, once again, it's a reality show, but they made Cleft part of his story, which was wonderful, and you know, Jim was adopted too, so there was a bigger, greater story. And then recently we have, and Christine, I'm going blank on his name, but Ninja Warrior.
Yes.
I'm
forgetting his name.
I know, we're going blank on it, but so it's been great to see also people coming out on reality shows for the positive, and having Cleft part of their story, which is really great because it just shows just an amazing story. Yeah.
I don't remember his name though.
I know, we're going blank, but we will have it later. But it just aired again, so. So when you think of authentic and empowering cleft representation, what should it look like in the TVs and movies and in media? What's your ideal? And that's across anyone wants to jump in for that one, so.
I'll go.
Yeah.
It should look like us.
Yeah.
I mean, like, look around the room, look left, look right. That's what it should look like. Everybody of all shapes and sizes and colors and differences, and we're all in this together. I don't mean to go High School Musical. I can't.
That's what I thought too. I was like, all right.
I live it. Here we go. But no, it should look like us. And so, you know, the more we can put ourselves out there, the better. I mean, you know, for those of you who don't know, my background in, you know, the arts is I'm an actor and a singer. Primarily musical theater has been my path of choice. And, you know, I kind of always was unsure of whether I should showcase my cleft, address it, let people know about it, or if I should just like pretend it wasn't there and maybe they won't notice either. I'm on the stage, it's from far away, you can't even tell. It's not like I do film. So I think, I think I'm getting away from whatever your question was.
Yeah, right, no, just go.
But yeah, I think it's just, it should look like us. And the more that we are putting ourselves out there, telling our own stories, the more other stories will be told with representation of other people who look like us.
Yeah, and we've seen some storylines have been written into some stories out there, and not really even calling reference to the cleft. But I know one big, which we've all talked about this, if they're going to talk about cleft, they should actually hire an actor, an actress with cleft. So I know that hopefully will change someday.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So what Troy's talking about is there was an M. Night Shyamalan movie fairly recently, The Cabin at the End of the World, and there was a little girl in the movie who had cleft as part of her character, but they did not use a cleft-affected child. So, you know, small steps in a semi-right direction, but next time let's just use a child who had cleft.
You know?
What an idea.
Yeah, there's a lot, so yeah.
Well, I wanted to point out that I mean, Hollywood in general is getting better, but the beauty of independent film and how much it's growing, I think is phenomenal, because I think you're going to see a lot more coming out and more of the independent, and then maybe that will grow into Hollywood. I mean, we're talking about if you can see it, you can be it. And so last year I went to film school, and I thought, if I want to see things and I want to do things, instead of trying to convince somebody else to do it, I'm just going to learn how to do it, and I'm going to do it. So I just finished my first short film. I've written a couple of features.
Yes.
And you're never too old. I did that at 46. I completely shifted what I started off with, which was medical aesthetics, and I got into that for the beauty aspect. I didn't feel beautiful growing up, and I really wanted to make other people feel good. So that's the career choice that I got into, and advocated for myself for many, many years. And I toyed with all of those lasers and needles and everything. So, I got into storytelling because I saw the power of storytelling, and and I think independent film is going to make the leap into really showcasing disability and indifferences, and then, you know, Hollywood's just going to have to catch up.
Reese, did you?
I think for the little ones and the teenagers, you know, if you have a dream, just because you are cleft-affected doesn't mean you shouldn't go for it. And even if there is stigma within entertainment, arts entertainment, there's, you know, why not put yourself out there? Why not chase it? Because if you don't chase it, you'll never know. You know, I was super fortunate to have parents that I would dance around the house when I was 3, drove them mad with my cassette tape recorder. And they were like, oh, let's put them in something. And, you know, I never, I'm still doing it. And so, yeah, it's one of those where, you know, I feel super fortunate they put me into it. But why not chase a dream, you know? And, like, why not start to change that narrative on our own, you know? And so, yeah.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and I agree. And I think what we're doing here today and what you all are doing is you're telling your story. So it's out there now. And just like your experience you had with when they thought, oh, he's going to have surgeries and we're not going to hire. I can't believe that would even happen.
And I didn't have any.
Yeah.
After.
So, I mean, I can't believe, I would have called in HR immediately on that one. But yes, but, you know, that's, they should understand more of that that's not what it is. So I guess if with final closing, kind of, do you have one message to Hollywood that you would send, or just media in general? Maybe it's not always Hollywood. You know, I guess when you were being hired, obviously you didn't talk about your cleft and everything. And do you think they ever noticed it or did, like from a hiring side? Or?
I think makeup does wonders for a lot of people, even when it's HD, you kind of zoom in. But I think over the years, I just learned a bunch of tricks. You know, lip liner does wonders, concealer, filler helps too. But I think when folks hire cleft-affected people, you are getting hardworking people. You are getting people that have seen the lows of life, and they have been in the trenches and they've dug themselves out, and they will put their heart and soul into anything. So I feel like whether Hollywood hires someone that's cleft-affected or not, it's just those cleft-affected people, they are gonna go in there and they're gonna work harder and they're gonna strive. And We have just someone said it before, like empathy. We can just feel and we can connect. And I think that that's something that, and why not put an actor or actress in there that you don't even have to highlight their cleft?
Correct.
Why
correct.
can't they just be in there? Why not?
Yes. Agree. And I think Caitlin, yeah, go ahead, Pamela.
No, firstly, I wanted to just give a shout out to those teens because I got teary-eyed and what they were saying, I felt it in my core. I wish I had that kind of confidence at that age, and I'm just so proud of them. But I think just take you're saying, just take the initiative. If we don't go forward and be what we want to see, how are we going to make a difference? So we've got to really get out of our shell and know that we are so beautiful and we are so deserving, and I think people are appreciating it much more. But we need to put ourselves out there more. That's all. And I wish I would have done it a lot younger, and I wish I would have heard this teen panel, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just so proud of those kids that were up here.
Yeah.
Really,
I think
really
now
awesome.
is your time. It seems like in life, this is when you're finding you, and it's just your time. But I agree on that teen panel. Like, if I had to do that as a teen, you would not have seen me up there. So I'm just, in general, amazed with them and their confidence overall. So once again, I thank this amazing panel who, they didn't really color coordinate, but they all came color coordinated.
So great.
We noticed that on the side a little bit. So
Someone
I'm a
missed
little
the
out. I didn't
memo.
get the pink menu, but memo. But so wonderful. Thank you very much.